Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive into the psychology of money. It's by Morgan Housel, and I gotta say, this book really shifted how I think about, well, money.
Yeah, it's not your typical finance book.
No, not at all. We're not diving into like spreadsheets or stock picks or anything. It's more about the mental game.
Right, the psychology. Housel's big argument is that understanding your own behavior, that's way more important than being some kind of financial genius.
He really does say that right off the bat, the financial success, it's not about being a math whiz. It's about mastering your own psychology. Makes you think about those impulse buys or, when I've gotten scared and not invested in something.
Happens to all of us,
Emotions, they really can mess with our money choices, can't they?
for sure. Housel says a lot of times we're making decisions based on fear or greed or just, trying to keep up with everyone else.
We don't even realize it half the time.
Totally. It's like we're on autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot.
Yeah.
So then one of the most interesting points he makes is about luck.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
He uses Bill Gates, right?
Yeah.
Super smart guy, obviously. But Housel says timing was huge EE. Like, what if Gates had been born 10 years earlier? The whole PC thing might have passed him by.
It makes you wonder how much of what we call success is actually just being in the right spot at the right time.
Right. So if luck plays such a big part, then what can we actually control when it comes to money?
Well, that's where Housel brings up compounding. I know, not the most thrilling word, but think of it like a snowball effect, only with your cash.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Imagine you're in your 20s, you start putting away just $100 a month. Because of compounding, by the time you retire, that small amount could have grown into a really decent nest egg. Time is on your side.
I always hear about compounding, but never thought of it like that. It's almost too simple.
Simple in theory, for sure, but to actually make it work, you need patience, you need discipline, which, Housel admits, is hard for most people. Look at Warren Buffett. He's not making these crazy moves, but his wealth, it's snowballed over decades.
It makes you wonder if anyone can actually replicate that.
Exactly. I think what Housel's getting at is this whole idea of delayed gratification. Everything's so instant now, but real wealth, that takes time.
It's like we almost need to retrain our brains to think long term instead of wanting results like yesterday.
That's it. And on that note, about long-term thinking. Okay, so House talks about luck being important, but doesn't mean we're powerless. There's this other trap he points out, the whole more mentality.
Well, I am so guilty of that. Always that feeling of, if I just had a little bit more.
Human nature, right? Wanting bigger, better constantly. But then Housel brings up financial independence. It's not just about having a ton of money. It's about having enough that it gives you choices, gives you freedom.
I think that's what people really connect with, not being rich, but having control over your own life.
Exactly. Like having the security to do what you're passionate about or just to say no to things you don't want to do.
So financial independence, it's almost like it gives you the power to design your life instead of letting circumstances control you.
That's a great way to put it. And this idea of, designing your life, it ties into something else Housel talks about. Figuring out what enough means to you personally.
Yep.
It's not about keeping up with the Joneses. It's about what really matters to you and making sure your money choices reflect that.
This whole book, it's made me rethink the idea of wealth. It's not just the dollars, is it? It's the freedom those dollars can bring you.
And the peace of mind that comes with that freedom. One thing that really struck me while reading this isn't just a personal finance book.
Right.
It's kind of about human nature, too. How our emotions, they mess with every decision, even money stuff.
Totally. But okay, with this enough idea, I'm thinking, is there a risk of like settling? What about being ambitious? Like, how do you balance that? Being content, but still wanting to achieve things.
I bet Housel would say it's not about giving up on your goals. It's more like making sure those ambitions match your values.
Yeah, I see.
It's more about asking yourself, what am I really working towards? Does this thing actually matter to me?
It's so easy to compare yourself to others, always looking at what they have and feeling behind.
Exactly.
But Halsel's saying everyone's on their own path, right? Define success for yourself.
I love how he uses stories, like real people and historical stuff, to make his point.
Me too. Like, remember that guy, Ronald Reed, the janitor who ended up with, like, millions?
Yeah, just by investing steadily shows you don't have to be some Wall Street hotshot or take crazy risks.
It's more about making good choices consistently, right? Over time, let it all compound.
And he talks about knowing your risk tolerance, too.
Oh, that's a good one.
Not just with investments, but like with life in general. How much are you comfortable with the unknown?
Made me think about the choices we make every day. Are we playing it safe or pushing ourselves?
Exactly. And are we actually okay with that level of risk we're taking? Makes you think.
One thing I found really helpful was Housel's advice on market ups and downs.
Oh, yeah, how to handle the volatility.
He's big on the long-term view. Don't freak out when things get rough.
Because they will get rough. He reminds you market downturns are totally normal, they don't last forever.
And they can be good for people who are prepared.
Opportunities.
Right. Especially now when we're always hearing financial news predictions, it's easy to get swept up and make bad choices.
He's like, tune out the noise. Focus on your goals.
Have a plan and stick to it.
Even when it's tough.
I like that. Strategy over fear or getting greedy.
It's funny, for a book called The Psychology of Money, there's not that much actual investment talk.
True, he doesn't get into specific stocks or anything.
No, it's more about the big picture, like why we make the choices we do.
Understanding how we think about money rather than telling you what to do.
Yeah, it's like he's giving you a framework.
To be more deliberate, more intentional about your money.
Exactly. And while he doesn't go deep on, which funds to buy, he does have some general tips. Diversify, save regularly, don't get into crazy debt.
He's a fan of living below your means and investing what's left over.
Not like being miserable, but being smart about it.
Make your money match your values.
He has this awesome line. It's like, money's a magnifying glass. It just makes you more of who you already are. Generous person. Money can make you even more generous. But if you're greedy, well...
Powerful image, right. Be intentional. Use your money for good.
And, even though Housel's all about the psychology, he's still realistic about building wealth.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it.
It takes time. You got to be disciplined, got to delay gratification.
He gets the challenges, but he's also optimistic.
Yeah.
Even small changes, over time, they can make a difference.
He's big on those little wins, celebrating your progress as you go.
It's not about overnight success. It's about those consistent efforts.
Be patient. Don't give up if you don't see results immediately.
Trust the process. Stay focused on those long-term goals.
Exactly.
As we're talking about all this, I'm realizing so much of what Housel's saying, it comes down to mindset.
Oh, absolutely. He's big on having a healthy relationship with money, one that's mindful, intentional, focused on the long game.
He wants us to see money not as something stressful, but like a tool, something that helps you live a better life.
And to get there, you got to understand your own head. Like, what are your biases? What sets you off emotionally when it comes to money?
Yeah, those moments when you're about to make a bad choice out of fear or greed.
And instead, you make the choice that actually helps you reach your goals.
It's about being in control instead of letting money control you.
Which brings us back to that big idea, aligning your money with your values. What are those things that really matter to you?
And how can you use what you've got to support those things?
Housel reminds us, success isn't just about a fat bank account. It's about having the freedom to do what you love, to spend time with people you care about, to give back.
This book has seriously made me rethink things. Not just my spending habits, but like my whole view of money and what it means to be wealthy.
It's powerful stuff. This isn't just a personal finance book. It's a life book, Making choices that feel right for your head and your heart.
One of the biggest takeaways for me is financial well-being, it's not a finish line. It's a journey.
It is. You're always learning, adapting, making tweaks along the way.
And everyone's journey is going to be different.
Yeah.
There's no one right answer.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important to know yourself. How much risk can you handle? What does success look like for you?
And be patient with yourself while you're figuring it all out.
I think Housel does a good job reminding us we're all human, we mess up, and that's fine.
Yeah, you learn from it and keep going.
Progress over perfection.
Right, totally. Well, on that note, I guess this is where we wrap up our deep dive into the psychology of money.
It's been great talking about this.
Really has.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope this has given you some new ways to think about money and even your own mind.
And if you're looking for a book that'll challenge you a bit, get you thinking in new ways, and maybe inspire some positive changes in your finances, definitely check out The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel.
It's one of those books that sticks with you, makes you think about your habits, your values, what you want out of life.
And reminds you, true wealth isn't just about the numbers in your account, it's about living a life that's meaningful to you.
So keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive. New book, new insights.
Until then, happy reading, everyone, and happy investing.